During the pandemic, I lost more than half of my income. I was forced to become extremely frugal overnight. 5 years later, life is back to normal, but I still live extremely frugally. And I am happier than ever. Because I realized the most important thing I have ever learned in my life. The less money I spend on stuff, the happier I am. Hello you lovely people, and welcome to another video. My name is Coco, and in today's video I'll be talking about how minimalism and frugalism have made my life so much better. First, let's go back in time a little to before the pandemic. Do you also still do that? Date everything pre- and post-pandemic? I certainly do. Well, it was a very life-changing event for a lot of people, including me. Before the pandemic, I lived a pretty normal life. I worked in tourism, mostly as a freelance worker. That means that during the main season, I earned most of my money and saved some of it. During the off-season, when I earned less, I would live off my savings and enjoy traveling, clubbing, going out to eat, and recreational shopping. Mind you, I was never in debt. I only ever spent money I had, but I liked spending my money without thinking much about the future. And then the pandemic hit. Tourism was shut down overnight and I lost most of my income. Since the first lockdown in Germany happened in March, just before the main season starts, I had used up most of my money over the winter and I had barely an income. So out of necessity, I had to become extremely frugal overnight. Instead of going to the supermarket and buying stuff just willy-nilly, I started to meal plan, went shopping only once a week and cooked all our meals from scratch. Instead of going out to eat and clubbing, which admittedly wasn't possible anymore, I cooked all our meals at home and had Zoom or Discord parties with our friends. Instead of recreational shopping, I only bought clothes if I absolutely needed them, and I made sure to try and get them secondhand. All of that reduced my expenses drastically, and even though I barely made any money, I was able to get by. And after a while, I realized that I started to enjoy it. With tourism shut down, I finally had time to breathe. Before the pandemic, I usually took every opportunity to work. Freelance workers do, because you never know how much work you'll have the next month. So it was constantly go, go, go. But with tourism shut down, I had so much time to relax, to spend with Toby, and to think. I started to write a book. I had the idea for years, but I never sat down to write it because I didn't have time. But with tourism shut down, I had plenty of time to write. I started to really get into the zero waste movement because I finally had time to think about alternatives to our usual ways of shopping. And I started to declutter our apartment because I finally had time to do so. And all of that drastically improved our life. Since I cooked all our meals from scratch, they were way healthier than what we had eaten before. Our sleep improved and our bodies felt much better. With the apartment decluttered, our living space was much calmer and easier to pick up. And with so much time for cuddling with Toby, writing my novel and saving the world, my life was much more fulfilled than it had ever been before. I liked this new way of life. And then things started to go back to normal. Obviously, we were very relieved to be able to see our family and friends in person again. We loved going to the cinema, and I was also happy to be able to work in tourism again. But, and that was a big but, I didn't want to go fully back to the way it was before the pandemic. I thoroughly enjoyed all the changes I had made to my life. So even though we could go out to eat again, I still cooked most of our meals at home. Even though I could have gone on shopping sprees, I didn't want to anymore. Instead, I wanted to keep the peace and calm I had acquired throughout this crazy time of our lives. So I started to keep up the good habits I had formed and still lived very frugally. In turn, I was able to save a lot of money, and I didn't spend it all in the off-season as I had done before. No, I was able to build up a sizable emergency fund. Once I had my emergency fund, I started to invest in index funds at the stock market. I had dabbled in the stock market before, but now I took it very seriously. After investing consistently for 4 years, I now have a small cushion of investments that would make it theoretically possible for me to live on them frugally for 5 years. Do you know what an incredible feeling it is to know that even if you were absolutely out of work, you could live on your savings for 5 whole years? It is incredibly liberating. And it also means that I started to be a lot more picky about my work. The knowledge that I have that safety cushion in the bank means that I don't have to take all the work that is offered to me. I can, but I don't have to. So if the conditions are not acceptable to me, I simply don't take the work. For example, I started not to do any freelance work on weekends anymore. That time is now reserved for Toby and me. I also started not to work on Wednesdays anymore. So basically, I have a 4-day work week now. This year, I also decided not to take on any freelance work for the whole of August. I love summer, and it is always over so much faster than it should be. So I spent the whole of August just enjoying summer. And it still worked out financially. Even with cutting out all of that work, by the end of the year, I will have saved up 12,000 euros, which was an important goal for me. So I still save lots of money, but I also enjoy a lot more free time as well. And all of that thanks to the principles of frugalism and minimalism. I can honestly say that they improved my life beyond anything I could have ever hoped to achieve. For the future, I want to stay on this track. I want to live frugally. I want to keep on saving money, keep on building my investments, keep on making my dreams come true, and eventually one day, I want to be financially free. If you'd like to see me achieving that, feel free to subscribe to my channel. It's for free, so you're actually saving money by doing it. We're coming towards the end of this video, so I wanted to share a few things that I've learned during the pandemic. Number 1. We often trade money for time. If you have to work a lot, you eat out because you don't have time to cook at home, which means that you have to spend more money, and that also means you have to work more. But if you don't work so much, you have time to cook yourself at home, which means you don't have to spend so much money, which also means you have to work less. Do you follow me? It's like the dog bites its own tail there. Number 2, YouTube is an infinite well of knowledge. I watched so many videos on frugalism, minimalism, cooking from scratch. Without YouTube, this transformation in my life would not have been possible. At least I think so. I even decided to start my own YouTube channel. And that changed my life completely because it means that I got to meet all of you people, and that makes me very, very happy every day. Number 3, changing your life is absolutely possible. Sometimes we just need a little nudge or, well, a kick in the butt. And we can all agree that the pandemic was the hugest kick in the butt we could have ever imagined. Did the pandemic change your life as well? Positive or negative? I'd really like to know. And with this, ladies and gentlemen, we have reached the end of this video. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, if you got any value out of it at all, I would personally appreciate it very much if you could give me one of these. Thank you in advance. Thank you again, and I'll see you in my next video. Bye-bye.